Good morning. Hi there if you're watching the replay, and good morning if you are watching live. I'm Maddie Harvey. I'm a knitwear designer and knitting teacher based in Edinburgh, and I love helping knitters develop their creativity and their confidence. This is my weekly video that I do on a Thursday, so I call them Knits and Cake for Breakfast because before coronavirus and lockdown I was hosting a weekly knit night that I would always do baking for, and then on a Thursday morning there would be some leftover cake to eat for my breakfast. So the videos are just a bit of a catch up with what I've been working on this week, a bit of behind the scenes stuff, and I usually share some tips or tricks or a little tutorial. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 tips to get the most out of online workshops, because I think, well, probably online workshops are here to stay, which is great for accessibility and things like that. But they're definitely going to be the mainstay, I think, probably for this year. So I thought it might be handy to have some tips for how to get the most out of them. So I haven't been baking this week. I've actually been along to a really nice baker's that we have here where I live, and bought myself a Creme Egg Cupcake, which looks like this. It's a chocolate cupcake with a cream egg on the top. Well, half a cream egg. And I have resisted the temptation to try it. But when I've cut into it, it's got chocolate in the middle. You know how sometimes bakers do that? Like, they've got a cupcake and then they put loads of icing on the top. And then in the middle, there's more sort of gooey icing stuff. I don't quite understand that. If I'd known that, I might not have chosen it, actually, because I just find it a bit too much. There seems to be a trend for just putting as much sweet stuff into these things as possible. It's nice. I think maybe because it's quite dark chocolatey, the sweetness is a bit counteracted by that. So I'll quite happily finish off the rest of that later on. And I've got my cup of coffee here. Actually, this is a new mug that my mum gave me for my birthday. It's a Marie Curie fundraiser mug with blue tits and daffodils. It's really lovely. So I'll show you what I've been working on, or some of what I've been working on this week. I finished my soft-hearted cowl that I had been working on as a new sample for kits for my online shop. So it starts down here and works up. So I finished it in time for the Yorkshire Yarn Fest, which was at the weekend there. But it could do with a bit of a block. I didn't give myself enough time to block it. And actually, I don't have it here, but my original sample, so this pattern came out last year, and my original sample was in superwash merino, which is super soft and has quite a lot of drape, even before you've kind of washed and blocked anything that you make with it. But this is the Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight, which will be lovely and have more drape when it's been blocked, but at the moment it's slightly on the stiff side. So you can see, like, the cabled bit here, or it's not actually a cable, it's a lace pattern and slip stitches, is pulling in compared to the bottom part. So I think it does need to get blocked. Yeah, so I finished that at about 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday. But I do love a deadline, so I got it finished in time, and that was what mattered. And then the other things I've been working on I can't really show you, because I have been this week, I had 4 lovely testers, preview knitters for the Mystery Knit Along, which is coming in May. So they've got started with that. So I've been busy sending things out to them and recording little video tutorials. So I can't show you any of that, but I did get some nice yarn arrived. So this is Cambrian wool, which I stock in my online shop for some of my kits, but I decided that to have a look and see what other colours. So this one is called Rosin. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. They're Welsh names. So it's quite a nice sort of dusky pink. And then this one, which is called Pearl, which is quite a sort of baby pink. I'm going to, I've got a shawl planned with these two colours together. So I just ordered a couple of balls of each so that I could see the colour, because I think quite often when you get a colour chart, colour chart, there's a name for them, I've forgotten it. So you can see all the different shades, a shade card. It's not the same, is it, as getting the ball? And then often actually when you knit it up, it looks slightly different again. So I just ordered a couple of balls of the Cambrian 4-ply to see what the colours were like, and it's in a whole ball. So we'll see what it's like when it knits up. I do quite often find that with colour, that it does change depending on whether it's in the ball or a skein, or when you knit it up, or when it's next to other colours, it can change how the colour looks. So that will be interesting to see. And then the other thing I've been doing is getting ready for launching tonight 2 new workshops that are happening on the 25th of April. So one of those is a knitted necklace workshop. So this is my sample that I wear quite a lot, that I knitted years ago. So I'm going to be doing a workshop about knitting a necklace. So you'll get the pattern to make the necklace, and I will also send you a little kit which will have this clasp, which I think just kind of gives it a bit of a professional finish. And you'll also get this big chunky I-cord is done in t-shirt yarn, so I will send some of that out in the kit so that you can make this I-cord, which is like the sort of foundation of the necklace. And then in the workshop we'll do this sort of fun bit at the bottom with some garter stitch and some really simple short rows and a nice sort of bubble I-cord edging. So that'll be one workshop that the tickets are going live tonight at 8 o'clock. And then the other workshop that I'm going to run is a picking up stitches masterclass, because I hear from a lot of people that picking up stitches is tricky, and that people will avoid patterns where they're asked to pick up stitches, or they just dread it and they spend a lot of time picking up and then pulling them back so they've got the wrong number. So in that workshop we're going to look at how to pick up stitches neatly along different kinds of edges, how to space them out nicely, how to avoid having to rip back because you've got the wrong number, and also how to avoid having holes in at the underarm area when you're knitting jumpers. And also when you are knitting socks, you quite often end up with a wee hole when you've picked up stitches along the gusset. So those are the kind of things that we'll cover in that class. So both of those are 90-minute classes, and I always keep them quite small in numbers so that people get lots of kind of one-to-one attention. So they'll be launching at 8 o'clock tonight. You'll find the link from my website, maddieharveydesigns.com, and that's if you're watching the replay of this is Thursday the 1st of April, and it's 8 p.m. GMT. Okay, now I'm just going to give you some tips about getting the most out of online workshops. So my first tip is to double check the date and the time of the workshop, and maybe set a reminder in your phone, or make sure it's on your calendar, because at the moment I think it's really easy. I'm in Scotland, so we're still on a lockdown. It's quite easy to forget what day of the week it is, because every day is kind of the same. And the other thing is that you need to maybe check the time zone difference if you're taking a workshop. Like I was teaching last week at Vogue Knitting Live, so they were on Eastern Standard Time, or no, they changed their clocks to their sort of summertime, and in the UK we hadn't changed our time. So the time difference would usually be 5 hours, but it was actually 4 hours. So if you are taking a class that's in a different time zone from the one you're in, you might want to just check the time difference. You don't want to turn up an hour late. I mean, an hour early wouldn't be so bad, but yeah, just make sure that you've got the date and the time sorted and you set some kind of reminder. Now, the second tip is to check if there's any homework to do for your online class and give yourself plenty of time to do it. Like actually have a look and see what it involves, because you might think, oh, that's fine, I know I've got some homework to do, I'll leave it till the night before, and then actually read it through and you've got to like knit 4 huge swatches or something. It could be more than you think it is, so just check it and make sure that you've got enough time to do it in. My third tip is to either print out your handout that you should hopefully get before the class, or have it available on a different device from the device that you're using to access the class, because you want to be able to refer to it while you're doing the class. Usually handouts for online workshops have some instructions in them, or for a knitting workshop they might have a bit of a pattern in them. So you don't want to have to be switching between the kind of video that you're doing for the class and your handout. So if you're able to, maybe have the handout on your phone and perhaps you're accessing the class on a laptop or something, if you're not able to print out, don't be trying to have the two things going at the same time. And my fourth tip is to just update any software. So if the class is happening on Zoom, just make sure that you've updated Zoom, like maybe even the day before, because sometimes you do these updates and they take longer than you thought, or your computer wants to restart or something like that. So just make sure that you've done that before the workshop, because you don't want to get stuck with something going wrong, or maybe maybe they're using some option, some kind of special thing on the new updated version, and you're not able to use that because you've got the old version. So updating your software before the class is a good idea. And my last fifth tip is to get comfy and gather together everything you need before the workshop. So like maybe even getting a nice box or a basket or something, gather together all the materials that you think you're going to need for the class. Maybe put some snacks in there, bottle of water, make yourself a cup of tea or a coffee, and just set up a little space on the sofa or at your desk where you're all ready. And also maybe a pen, pencil, something where you can take notes. If you printed out the handout, then you can obviously do it on there. Or maybe you are somebody who likes to, if you've got a PDF on a device, you can annotate it. You just make sure you've got everything you need, because you don't want to be getting up in the middle of the workshop to go and grab something. So getting comfy and having everything you need in one place will really help you to get the most out of your online workshop. So I hope you found that helpful. If online workshops are not your thing, but you've managed to catch some online virtual yarn shows, there seem to be a few more of them happening in the upcoming months, then you might like to have a watch of episode 30 of this video series, Knits and Cake for Breakfast, which came out on the 14th of January, because I checked before I recorded this, which has my top tips for making the most out of a virtual yarn festival. And that you can either find that on my IGTV channel on Instagram or over on YouTube, where you'll find me as Maddie Harvey Designs. So if you've just joined in the last few minutes, you can watch the replay later. I always post it around about lunchtime on Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook. So look out for that a bit later on. And I also add in subtitles using an auto subtitler, which quite often makes mistakes. It makes some typos which are quite funny, and I often post them in my Instagram stories throughout the morning as I'm editing them. Usually it comes up with some really rude faux pas thing that I haven't said, but I don't know why it thinks my accent makes it think that I've said something rude, and I haven't. So I post them in my Instagram stories, as I say, throughout the morning as I'm adding them in, and then I'll post a replay of this video at lunchtime. So I will let you get on with your Thursday, and I'll see you next week. Bye.